Hello fellow Inklings, it's time for another Splatoon 2 lesson. In this one, we want to find out how we can win every match. Even if our team loses, we can still win. It's just a matter of following the directions that were given at the very beginning of the game and inking as much turf as possible. So we're going to learn some secrets about how to do that, some tricks and techniques, and how we can also have a little fun along the way by splatting our opponents. Now, it's important to understand that the overall goal of Turf Wars is to ink as much as possible. It's going to give you more cash. It's going to help you to level up faster. Even if your team is doing absolutely horrible, focus, do as much as you can. These games can turn around very quickly. They can turn around especially in the last minute. So you want to make sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can in order to ink as much turf and then to just have a little bit of fun along the way, like I am here where I got splatted. So let's take a look at a couple of games, a couple of real matches, and we'll see how it's possible. See, it says there, ink the most turf to win. That's the key. It's not about splatting other players. It's not about getting into their territory. It's about inking turf. So this is a wide area, so I'm going to go right at first. I know that there's going to be plenty of ground that I can ink, and you see I'm just going back and forth, very methodical. I'm covering as much as possible in a single pass. Sometimes I get a second pass out of it. I'm not worried about getting 100%. You're never going to get 100% unless you spend too much time doing it. You just want to get as close to 100% as you possibly can on the first pass, and maybe you'll come back to it later, maybe not. There's going to be plenty of territory available that you can just continually ink the entire match. You're going to just gain a lot of turf in that way. So now we see there's players on the other side. They're going head to head as kind of the center of the match. I'm not really interested in going over, but I do have to cut through. And I'm going to take the opportunity here to cover a little bit of the blue ink. If you can cover some of their ink without running the risk of getting splatted by charging in with 3 or 4 other inklings of their color, it's good because you're gaining a percentage and they are losing a percentage at the same time. So it's actually better if you can cover their ink, provided you don't want to just go ink for ink. You don't want to take a little, they take it back, you take it back. All you're doing, if you're doing that, is wasting time. You just want to continually ink as much as possible. And if you get in an area, see there's an inkling, a blue inkling over here, we'll try a splashdown. That doesn't work. And okay, I deserve a thumbs up on that one. Please, if you give this video a thumbs up for that one. So just keep on inking. And we're going to ink our way up the ramp here. And getting to know the maps is also important because if you don't, you fall in the water, you just continually cover territory, you're swimming through your own ink far too often, especially if your team is doing well. As you can look at the little icons at the top of the screen and tell if your team is winning or losing. See, they're in danger because it says danger next to the blue because they're losing by more than 10% of the turf. So we're doing really good. My team is doing well. But I'm just going to continue to focus on inking as much as possible. Only inking the ground. You can ink the walls if you want, but it doesn't count toward the percentage. But, you know, if you need to swim up to ink an area, that's good. So the match is almost over. I'm going to end it by falling in the water. But let's see how my team did. So you see, we scored a lot. We got a lot of the turf. It's a high percentage. What is it? So 63.7 to 18.3. So there was still a lot of the territory you can see in the lower right corner that could have been inked. But notice I'm on top. 2139 points. And those points are the cash that you get. They don't go toward your leveling up. That's your win bonus and your ink bonus and so forth. But if you can ink as much territory as possible, then even if your team loses, you're going to gain the most cash that you possibly can, and that can be used to level up your weapons and your gear. So even if your team, in this case, we're going to watch one more. Notice it's a narrow field, so I'm just going to charge down into the middle against my better judgment. I'll avoid that little ramp. And I see I have a roller out in front of me, but I'm just going to keep inking a line and dipping down, and then I get splatted right away. So, but now every time you get splatted, press that X button, check the map. Where are some areas that you can ink? You know you're going to get splatted during the match, or more than likely you are, unless you avoid other inklings altogether. So when you do get splatted, then take a chance to see where can I do the most good. In this particular case, it was going left. I'll just cover up some of this pink ink here. Now, at the bottom of this ramp, you always run into somebody, but if you go right, you have an opportunity to get a little territory covered. So there they are, inkling. See, there you can splat them. And that takes them out of the commission for a few seconds. There's a lot of benefit to that because you're covering territory, and at the same time, they're not covering territory for a few seconds. So there's a bucket. I'm going to avoid that. It would do me no good just to go back and forth with them. I'll let them have their fun there. And I will avoid that too. So... Okay, and I get splatted by Julia, I think it's Julia, with the roller. So I'm going to go left. I saw that there was a little territory to cover to the left. I do super jump sometimes, but typically only if my team is doing really well. We're struggling in this match. We're definitely down, but I see here I have an inkling with a long-range weapon, and they're trying to cover turf, so I definitely have the advantage here. But I'm going to go into their territory on the side. They're probably not going to come back and try and cover this territory, so I'm just going to go ahead and cover it as much as I can, gain back some of this turf. I'm either going to try and go up into their territory a little. Sooner or later they're going to catch on, but I do get a lot of coverage in the meantime, and there they are. So it's just a matter of time before they catch on, and you end up getting splatted. But I got a lot done in the meanwhile, but my team is not really doing well, so we're just going to go ahead and run this out. Just don't give up. Don't quit. Even if you're losing, you want to gain as much turf as possible, because even if you're losing, sometimes you got to back off. Even if you're losing, if you can get on top of the 4 of the losing team, then you gain some points. So that really is a tip on how to make the most out of your Splatoon matches. You can win something every time. Even if you lose, you gain the maximum amount of cash by inking the most turf. So make sure that you get in the habit of doing that, and you'll find that every match is productive.